And we're back. Welcome to the Daily Traders Podcast. This is episode number 22. I'm your host, Mark. This is my co-host, Jack. And today we have another guest, Jesse. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much.
So Jesse is a 29-year-old entrepreneur, visionary, social media expert. You won. What were you saying you won? You've got a pretty impressive portfolio, and I think you can better represent yourself than I can.
I appreciate that, my friend. I always find it hard to be talking about myself, but I think you're referring to the Dutch Fitness Awards.
Yeah,
that was cool.
I won a gold award in Amsterdam with the highest rating. And I had actually, it's funny that you say I'm social media expert because I wouldn't call myself that at all.
Okay.
In fact, I'm somebody who doesn't like social media.
Okay. Interesting.
Anti-social media.
Anti-social media.
What? It's something that came along with being on TV and, building a brand, a personal brand with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then I understood the power of personal branding and also for businesses. And that's where also kind of like a digital agency grew from that. But before that, I had a military background, 2 years. So I was kind of like off any media. Very
really?
Low key. And I always had a passion for acting. So that's kind of like where it started. And I did some things. I started like a high school series in my own country, the Netherlands, where I'm from.
Mm-hmm.
And I was a lifeguard. And it was really cool. It was on background acting. Then I got a real role, like actual role.
Really?
And I just started doing more and more acting. Then I did some reality TV as well. And then suddenly you have 300, 400,000 followers. And you start getting sponsorship deals. And you're like, hey, you know what? This is very powerful. And you start to have a community that you build around it. But before that, when I was studying psychology at university and when I was just working at the military as well, part-time, I never envisioned that. I never thought that, that was something I would pursue but that's life. And it's beautiful if you look back at it where I always thought I was going to be in the fitness industry. Mm-hmm. But then along the way, you reach a certain point, you're like, you know what? There's a lot of ego involved here.
Yeah.
And it's not something that I want to continue to pursue. I actually want to help people on a deeper level. I want to consult and I don't want to be those guys that's like, I'm a life coach without any credentials or anything to back it up. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I started studying psychology and a lot of people were dropping out. I was like, I have to finish this. I actually want to, even if it's just a piece of paper, I want to be able to say, okay, I did it.
Yeah. Were you studying
I'm not just bullshitting? Yeah.
Where were you studying?
What did you say?
Where were you studying? Were you in America, in Europe?
Amsterdam.
Oh, okay. That's where you're from, correct?
Yeah, that's where I'm from. And now 6 months ago, I moved here to Spain. I bought a beautiful place here. And now I'm just back and forth between Amsterdam and Spain.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Well, it was interesting. So I never saw myself being on social media. I myself don't like social media, but I see the power in it and in marketing. Yeah. It's, the digital age. It's something that, especially TikTok, which we're huge on. I saw the opportunity, and while it wasn't something that I enjoyed, like I don't even have Instagram personally, I went for it. And so it's interesting. So I'm sorry if I kind of misrepresented you in that way, but you have a large following. You have 1.1 million on Instagram, which is a large following, very hard to grow. And I didn't realize part of that was from your TV background, which is very interesting as well. So you travel a lot, very lifestyle oriented posts from what I've seen. Where do you want to go? What's like a place you've never been to? That's like your dream place to travel because you've been all over the world from what I've seen.
I love that question because I was actually talking to my partner about it. Like I've been to 72 countries and it's like, okay, what's next? Like the reason why I moved here was also like, I just kind of want to settle down.
Okay.
There's a level of saturation where you're like, okay, what truly matters?
Yeah.
And but there's still so much to see. So when you ask me that, I'm talking like places like Greenland or Antarctica or New Zealand is a place I haven't been yet.
Oh, I'd love to go there.
Yes.
Amazons, like those kind of places, So there's still so much to see. And those are now on my list. So just like do some kind of like extreme trips, really like, backpack, kind of like off the grid. I also went to Russia before the war and I just was there for like 6 months living there,
Wow.
exploring Russia.
That's cool.
Amazing, you know. So those are the things that I like now, and just kind of like explore different cultures. And I think more than anything, when people ask me, what did you learn in psychology studies, I think my true expertise and my knowledge came from traveling.
Yeah.
And it built my character, it built my worldview, and also helped me where I am today.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. And it's something like I haven't had that travel experience to that degree, at least. And it is something that it just gives you this, I mean, you're 29, but it's a level of maturity that some people never get to have. You know, some people never leave their country or far from their state. And so it just opens your mind up to the world and experiencing different cultures and seeing how people live. And it really does shape you into the person you are. So what's kind of the motivation behind helping people and really wanting to, it seems like you really are passionate about teaching, helping people change their lives, whether it's relationships, health, their mental state, whatever it may be?
Yeah, that's the reason why is because I talk a lot about purpose, and I think the purpose is why we're motivated to get out of bed in the morning and just kind of like pursue what we do. And when I talk about traveling, it's not so much a narcissistic pursuit of enjoyment and sipping cocktails on a beach. It's something that developed something in me that I am now able to give to other people. And even when I was living in the US, for example, I was very humbled by the people that invited me. An example, Hurricane Michael happened in Florida. Back in that time, I got invited by the mayor, just a random Dutch guy like me. I got invited and to really help create awareness about what happened and raise a bunch of money to help the community there. And that's exactly an example that I've been doing all over the world on a smaller scale, on a micro scale, macro scale. So it's not just like, I'm staying there and having an amazing luxury travel experience. No, it's like, okay, what can I at least give back to the community there? And that's why everywhere I go, I'm always very humbled by the people that receive me with such warmth and such respect. And now even when I go back to Florida, it's not that I'm like going to Miami partying and visiting the clubs. It's like, no, I want to see those communities. How have they, built themselves back up? And it's very interesting because there's a lot of hate and judgment about that, which is still fascinating to me. Like, this Dutch guy, going there and trying to be some saint or messiah, which is not true at all. I'm just trying to do something bigger than myself and, leave a little bit of impact.
That's cool. Yeah, I was gonna ask.
Yeah, man. Whether it's a nursery home or whether I'm, going to veterans, because I have a lot of respect for veterans as well. Because I work with U.S. military, I worked with a lot of people. So, why would I not connect with these people? So it's like, it's beautiful and it's heartwarming to do that.
Yeah, that's interesting. I was gonna ask. I went to Mexico recently and we were staying in this beautiful resort, but it's like the resort and then there were the gates and then there was like the local town where you could get a taco for 50 cents, right? Or a meal for $2. And it was like, I found way more satisfaction and enjoyment leaving the actual resort where you can get strawberry daiquiris and chill with, in these beautiful infinity edge pools. But it was way more interesting being in the community where people were walking around barefoot and, dressed in dirty clothes in these mom and pop shops where it was $1 for a taco. Than it was to like be in this.
That's a good deal, man.
Yeah, like first world resort. It was interesting, but it was like such like a fine line. Like you go from this first world resort into like this third world country.
Yeah.
So I was gonna ask, like traveling, you talked about how it helped advance your psychological and human mindset understanding. Was it more from getting to know yourself better or meeting other people and exploring other cultures?
Both. Especially the first one, I think it develops your character and perspective about things. Because I think a lot of times when you look at interpersonal connections and you see how dysfunctional they can be, whether it's a work environment or whether it's a relationship, we often come from thinking in our own bubble. So when somebody thinks differently, let's take the depression as an example, which is very, very common right now in these times. And I get a lot of emails from people and young men especially that are depressed. there are cultures, especially in Africa, where that is not a talked about topic. I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I'm saying that they have not really entertained the idea of depression, because we are living, we are present, we are having seasons of life, if you will, right? There's good times, there's bad times, but we just wake up every day with the mindset of like, hey, we got to do this. We got to make it happen. So there's no time to be thinking, oh, I got a burnout, I got a depression. And that's also the thing, right? Like, where our culture attracts all this energy. Like, we feel bad, we listen to sad music, we attract more and more energy, we talk to people that are also sad. So it's kind of like a snowball effect. So when you explore different cultures and different people that think very differently than you, instead of rejecting it, take a step back and think, hey, what can I learn from this? And this is also a Stoic philosophical approach, where you always approach it from, what is there here to teach me? What is there here to learn? And that is true for everything in life. And that creates a very freeing feeling when you live life. And that's where I think the character development happens, more than just, being in Amsterdam, being around my friends, being around my bubble, which is amazing. But it will never allowed me to pursue the man that I am today. And that's just a blatant truth. Yeah. Because there are approaches where people say, oh, you have to lock yourself up in your basement and grind 18 hours a day to become successful.
See that all the time.
And yeah, man. And I get so many, and I do consults, and I also do a lot of things for free when I speak right now. And it doesn't matter if it's at a nursery home where it's needed to talk about loneliness, or whether it's a group of young men at a high school. It's important that we do what we can, and that we share some things that can spark things in people. And more than dads and moms, we need mentors. And that's something that the world is missing right now. Even myself, I grew up from 12 without a dad. My mom had to do it all. When I was 16, I left my home, and I was kind of like, all right, I got to do it. I got to make it happen. Yeah. No support system, nothing.
Wow.
So you live in I started the military at 17.
Wow.
Just right after high school.
Wow. That's crazy.
You get like this basic military salary, and that went to rent, so I had very few money to live on back then. So it was very humbling.
Yeah.
It was very humbling.
But yeah, I was listening to one of your podcast clips, and you talked about kind of these dark times in your life, and how you've learned from that and used that in the life today. I'd imagine you kind of tied into, you're talking about how you're in this beautiful villa in Spain, and you wake up and you're just so grateful to be there. It's like going through those tough times. How do you use that in your everyday life to motivate you?
I am motivated now more than anything by purpose and the people that message me and that need help. I think, again, it's very important to generate more income streams, and a lot of money to have more impact. But what we're doing here now today, speaking and leveraging our time in different ways to reach a broader audience, I think is more impactful than anything else. And I think if you do have things to share, whatever that is, or because a lot of times they want to label things as toxic, or you can talk about this or whatever. But, I think right now as individuals, we're in a position to not be afraid to be canceled. Yeah. Because we operate partially outside of the matrix. Yeah. I think then it becomes, and you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, right? Yeah.
So then it becomes like, okay, I am going to talk about these topics, and I am going to talk about what's important. And I do think we should bring values back. And I do think strong men are important. And I do think that protecting your family and being confident is a value of a man that needs to be respected and not labeled as toxic. So that's not what society is aiming for right now, but I'm aiming for it. And a few others that I speak to, like Tristan Tate, And before he was banned, Andrew, we're helping Joe Exotic, by the way, to get him out of jail, and also Elliot Hulse. Great conversations with him. Not sure if you've listened to the podcast, but very strong man, father figure that really, really talks about these things. And I think that's really powerful because he could open up another 6 gyms and make a bunch more money. Mm-hmm. But no, he's doing something bigger than himself, which is bigger than, like focusing on just on generating more money. So yeah.
Well, do you know Andrew Tate? You said you worked with him or his brother?
I talk with Tristan on DM, and I know the coach before Andrew Tate was actually blowing up, the direct coach, and also the guy that got him on what was that kickboxing event. So I work with him. He's an entrepreneur, and that's how I was talking with Andrew Tate because we were going to do something for Joe, and then suddenly we stopped talking because he got banned, and now I'm following up the conversation with Tristan.
Interesting.
So we're seeing what we can do there. Yeah.
Okay.
There's a lot of power in surrounding yourself with other individuals who think alike. I mean, your network, it obviously seems like you have a large reach. Can you speak on that, like the value that you can bring to others? It's like a equal or fair exchange where you can learn a lot from someone and you can teach someone a lot and help bring yourself and them up.
I think it's everything, right? Once you have a community, I think then you have power. Whether it's small, on a smaller scale or a bigger scale. And I think that's very beautiful because I realized that once I generated from TV, which was completely unexpected, to be honest, because I had no experience in what that could do, nor was it in my vision board or whatever.
Yeah.
But I just saw the power of it. And I saw that people expected things from me and wanted things from me. And I was like, okay, so what I was doing on a smaller scale with Meester PT, I had 3 coaches on payroll. I could now scale and I could now do online. I could now write a book about intermittent fasting, which was the main thing that helped a lot of clients lose weight and become a better person. So I wrote that book and I sold it, especially in the US, a lot because that's my main audience. Wow. And yeah, man. So as much as I have a love and hate relationship with reality TV, because it's not really reality, it kind of also helped me to understand things better, about the power of, let's say, social and community. So yeah, man, that's interesting. And I'm just very, sometimes I get very emotional right now because of the emails that I get on a daily basis from young men that follow me. And now, like when Tristan Tate started following me, for instance, I got like all these messages like Top G and stuff. And we have that funny. Yeah, I had to look at what's like Top G means, right? But it's so his community is insane. Imagine him following somebody, and it was like, oh, I did a podcast with Sadhguru, and when I did, Sadhguru shared that, so we did a collaboration with Sadhguru. The moment that happened, I got a whole Indian community from people that were extremely committed. Like, even saying like, you're a god and this and this and that. It was insane. So I think when you talk about community, these figures have a community that I've never seen before. You know? So Tate, that's an amazing example, whatever you think, but and Sadhguru is as well. And the Indian people are on a whole other level.
Yeah.
So that was like, wow. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we see that too. People are like, oh, I want to meet you. You should do like a live event. And then people thank us all the time, sharing their profits, money they've made. And it is a really amazing feeling when you see you've directly like impacted someone's life, helped them.
That's what I love so much about you guys, man. Like, you guys are changing people's life.
Yeah.
Like, financial freedom you're creating for so many people. And that's why, like, I humbled myself and I said, listen, I can learn something from you too, because I of course I did stocks and everything, but my knowledge is very, very basic. And I think my ultimate idea of escaping the matrix, if you will, was always to like trade, on a bigger scale. And I saw the power of it when I started doing future trading with crypto.
Yeah.
it became very easy to make a couple $100 a day,
Mhm.
and just kind of like, okay, wow, that's it, you know. So it's like, man, so that's why I humbled myself and I said, listen, I want to learn from you guys, man. I wanna see what you guys do, and I think that it's powerful to help people on such a level.
It is, yeah. And feel free to ask us anything. I'll make
Yeah.
sure that you get access to our group after, and you can kind of have an insight to what I'm doing, because I post all my trades when I'm entering and exiting all live. I'm fully transparent with that. It's something that really no one does. And I felt like, when I set out to do this, I started just sharing kind of my story. Like, I've been trading since 2016. I got into cryptocurrency, specifically Bitcoin. And at the time, I was just working a normal job. I was investing everything I had into having enough in my portfolio to day trade Bitcoin. And that was back when it was, $1,000 to $2,000 a coin. And I transitioned into trading options, late 2018. Got into stocks 2018 because I saw that there was, more opportunity to leverage my money with options, and it's a risky thing. And then I found something that worked for me, and it was after a lot of trial and error and blowing up accounts, and it's not an easy journey, and I didn't have any mentor. And so I think if I had a mentor, my, learning process would have been, cut in half. And then being able to, I didn't want to just be another, quote unquote guru selling a course. I wanted to show people that I was successful in what they were doing. And not only so, I could feel good about that, but so people, if you're learning from someone in whatever it is you want to learn, you want to see that they're successful. And it shows you that it's really possible to make money in whatever it is you're doing. And like you said, getting your degree in psychology, you have that background, that proof that you do know what you're talking about. And so that was a huge thing for me. And I'll make sure to get you in the group. But any questions, trading questions for us? Like, I'm sure you've got some.
Well, so you guys do also crypto, from what you said, like not just normal stocks?
Yeah. So, my main thing, I swing trade. So I'm entering a position, holding it over a couple of days. I still have long-term investments in crypto. Back 4 months ago, I just invested in a bunch of altcoins, which again, that's a very long-term play. So the day trading crypto, I no longer do. I don't know. What are you doing with crypto?
I'm all out of crypto right now. I'm waiting. I still think there's more to go in terms of a bottom, but crypto for me acts more as a long-term investment vehicle. And then as far as my trading strategy goes, I'm a directional swing trader, and I also like to trade stocks that have relative strength and weaknesses. So trading along with his strategy and also kind of my own little touch on it.
Yeah, and it's interesting. Like you've moved. Your strategy has developed and changed a lot.
Yeah,
even since you've come on with me, and it's been interesting seeing you learn. And we've been learning from like some of the best traders on Wall Street, which is we're putting together kind of this collective of information, this knowledge. See, there's the basic free information on YouTube and the courses, and then there's this huge gap in between the proprietary information. Guys who have been doing it their whole lives, hedge fund managers, prop traders. So we've reached out and we've actually connected with these guys. Chris Katie, he's been trading for 45 years. We were in New York 2 weeks ago at his office trading with him. Yeah, and so we're learning a lot. There's always something to learn. It's so interesting because I kind of put myself in a box as to like, I have something that works for me. And so why learn something else? But I realized like the more you learn, it's not even that I'm going to change my strategy. I could just be able to help people more, spread that knowledge. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to give the regular person access to this information, which they'd never have access to. It's really neat. We're planning on launching that in a couple months. So it's very exciting. Like everything we're doing, like we enjoy what we do. It's the best 100%. Job in the world.
And we'll make sure to get you and your girlfriend involved if you guys are still interested in trading at the time. It's going to be cool. We're also incorporating. We've been working with these funds, and we're actually going to be funding our own traders with from anywhere from like $10,000 to $100,000 in trading capital that they can use to trade. And then obviously we have like advanced finance technology involved where we hedge against our traders because not everyone's going to be successful, but we also make money when they make money. So it's like, it's a win-win for everyone. Like we get to help people because having capital is the hardest part in trading, right? Like if you don't have capital, how are you going to make significant, if you have $100, you can make 100% on $100, which would be insane. You'd have $200, but to make 100% on 100,000 is a whole different ballgame. So capital and trading is obviously vital. So we're also coming at that. But yeah, we're excited. It's like you said, helping people is definitely a calling in life, and we were like, all right, how do we help people even more? So
beautiful. What was the point where you guys thought, because you talked about your day job, okay, you know what? I'm going to quit it. I'm going to go all in on day trading, swing trading.
Sure. Yeah. For me, it was when I was, sitting there trying to hide my phone, and I realized I was making probably with tips, probably 80 to $100 a day. And then all of a sudden I could make that in 5 minutes. Yeah. And so I'm like, what am I doing? Sitting here running the cash register, making sandwiches when I could be at home, not interacting with customers. But I also think it was a great experience and a humbling thing. And I realized that this is something that I never want to do again, working that 9 to 5. But it was a good eye opener.
Yeah.
And then I realized I can make way more money if I have all my time to dedicate to doing this. I can make 5 times more in a day than I am now, because it's that unlimited potential that not many jobs have. Eventually you're going to get capped at a salary, whether you're a doctor or a dentist or brain surgeon. You can only push your hours so much, and before you don't have a life. And so the balance thing's important too. And I think that's kind of an interesting topic I want to talk about, which I struggle with, which is finding balance in life and not burning yourself out, making sure you're taking care of yourself, because you need to come first. So your relationships, your job, everything else follows, and you're putting in 100%.
So how do you I'm really fascinated, because I know a few day traders and they are hardcore.
Yeah.
Because you talk about balance. How does your day look like? How do you balance that?
Yeah, well, so I don't think people realize the behind the scenes of running a company and how much goes into it. And part of hiring on the people that are working behind the scenes, our cameraman right now behind the scenes, we have 4 other people, including me, or 5 people in-house right now working. And then we've got another 5 people working virtually. And so a lot of my time is spent, managing everyone, making sure everyone's getting what they need done. So it's kind of, leveraging individuals. So I have more time to focus on the more important parts of not more important, but the parts of the company that only I can run. As a CEO, you're the visionary. You're directing the film, or if you will, in a director's terms, you're in charge of everyone, everything. The movie is steered in your direction. So it is hard to find balance, and especially balancing my trading and working on marketing, being in the podcast, YouTube videos, TikToks, and then working on the internals of the company, working with accountants, bookkeeping, working with lawyers for, the legalities of everything, relationships, family. It's a lot, and it's about time management. And, if it's some nights I'll be here super late, and I used to pull a lot of those very late nights, working all night, and then just be burnt out all day, making sure I get enough sleep. But it's hard. It's not easy. And if you ever figure out how to really find that perfect balance in life, let me know. Because, I'm working on it every day, and some days, I don't get time to talk to family. And everyone understands that I'm busy, but, it's tough.
Yeah, for me, it's trading inside this company is, I'm a big part of the social media and being in front, and the marketing and communications and relationships as the whole company. I also have a bunch of my own other entrepreneurial endeavors going on. I own real estate. I'm partners in a medical practice company. Wow. And for me, it's I don't trade when I know I'm going to be busy all day, because trading requires 100% focus. And if you're not focused, then you shouldn't trade, because you're going to make a bad decision. So for example, when I walk into Mark's office, sometimes I'll go and he'll have his huge headphones on, and I won't even I'll just be I'll come back later, because I'll see that he's trading. I don't want I don't want to bother him, because trading does require focus, and it's knowing that balance. And I've gone a week without trading. I've gone a couple weeks without trading, and then I've had weeks where I traded every single day. So it's knowing when you're going to have the free time, and scheduling obviously is very important.
Yeah, and it's also a burnout thing. If I'm trading every day, back when I was living in LA, I was trading every day, and then, a month goes by, and then it's wow, I need a couple weeks to kind of just take a break and then come back at it with a clear mind. Whether you're going through a losing streak, a winning streak, it doesn't matter. Taking time off is important. What's your life look like right now, or your day, I guess?
Average day.
Average day, podcasting,
Nice.
going to take care of my plants.
Nice.
Let me talk about something that I really am passionate about.
Okay.
I'm passionate about my plants.
I love
I
it.
got, I'm gonna flex here. I have a banana plant.
Nice.
I have an olive tree.
Really?
I have a pepper plant. And let me talk also about what the future is going to be. I think we're going to have food shortages. It's a whole different topic.
Interesting.
In the next few years, we're going to go through some shit.
Mhm.
And I think right now, the best thing that you can look at is being self-sufficient. So what does that mean? I'm talking like having your own filtered water,
Yeah.
resources, having your own plants, having your own food resources. And if you can't, like, stock up on that, like canned foods or whatever you got to do.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't want to be dependent completely on external factors like electricity companies and all that. So for me, when I wake up in the morning, my day looks like looking at my plants, looking at my fishes, looking how everything is doing, and meditating, very important part of my day.
Mhm.
And then opening my emails, answering emails, and kind of like you talked about visionary. I'm very behind the scenes. So a lot of people don't know, I don't run my social media. Like I have 3 people, one for, managing DMs just for business. And because I don't want to look at, DMs from thirsty women all day. That's a waste of time.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, I want to make sure I have somebody, a virtual assistant that helps me filter whatever I need to filter through, and kind of like, opportunities like the daily traders,
Yeah.
which is something I really resonate with, to kind of like take that on myself.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
that's kind of like where I am. And so a lot of visionary, a lot of conversations on an executive level, investment wise. And yeah, I have a puppy, Pomeranian,
Nice.
so that requires a lot of time and attention. But I want to build like businesses. I want to build a family. I want to build like, the purpose that I have that has been executed now for a long time. I want to scale that as much as I can. And the only way that I can do that is to take a step back and analyze everything and really put my attention where it's most needed. And that's not in small tasks as much as it's needed. Sometimes we got to do things we don't want to do, but really look at, okay, how can I make a bigger impact? And also, how can I change my own life and my own personality in a way that's more resourceful to others? So that's kind of like where I am. And also, on a daily basis, I have some things that are very consistent, but, I kind of like have the freedom as well to, switch things up rather quickly and just decide, hey, for Halloween, for instance, we were up in the mountains for, 3 days.
Nice.
Like, and I think, and I was having a conversation actually with a very successful Dutch entrepreneur as well, who's into e-commerce. And he says, if you can walk away from your business for a week and not respond to a single email or message, and it's still running, then you have a successful business.
Wow.
And I was thinking about that, and I'm like, yeah, that's how it should be. Because, like the people should be knowing what they should be doing and have people in the right place.
Yeah.
And I have a guy that kind of like manages that for me, but he still is very depending on me. Right? He asks, which is good, of course.
Yeah.
So I'm still figuring out, like, navigating my way, and I'm also on his learning curve, kind of like operate it separately as well. I can just be not looking at my phone for a week, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like as well where I'm, learning. Yeah.
So you mentioned like a vision board earlier. What's your mindset on setting goals? Like I know I used to write down my goals, set dates, sign it. And then when I achieved it, it was like, I like setting small goals, shorter term goals, more aggressive goals, longer term goals, giving you that satisfaction when you achieve a goal. You realize like internally, like this is possible. Thinking about it, saying it, having a picture of it, writing the same word down 1,000 times on a piece of paper. I think I've tried a million or so many different types of goal setting. What about you?
Wow, man. That is the way, right? I think we're first, like, and this is why meditation is so important.
Yeah.
And taking time for yourself to just be like present and really process everything that's happening in your life And is it still on the path that you want it to be? Because often if we get taken by the slur and the pace of life, we forget.
Yeah.
We kind of like get into this rat race of like whatever we got to do and consistency and work. And so if you do take the time and you meditate, and I think that's the most important thing, you become mindful and you become conscious. And the more conscious you become and the more clarity you have, okay, what is my purpose? What is truly important for me? Is it a family? Is it something that I want to build? For me right now, I sat down, I think moving down here from Amsterdam, I saw the opportunity for helping other people like myself back then to get real estate here. Because there's a lot of things involved here in Spain. You need to get a lawyer. It's very different from in America and in the Netherlands to acquire property. There's a lot of processes that you need to be mindful of. There's also a lot of people that overprice properties. So eventually I found a beautiful penthouse here, but it took me a year.
Wow.
You know, first it was like, let me build this villa, but it's too far away. But then they overprice it, and they're like, oh no, but this is another extra, and this is so. It takes a long time before you find trustworthy people. So I was like, hey, you know what? That's an opportunity.
Yeah,
that's an opportunity to actually help people find trustworthy people. And I know one guy right now that helped me, and so we sat down and we're like, hey, let's help people that want to acquire property here. Get the right lawyer right away so they don't have to mess around. Get the right property that they actually ask for, and not when you ask for something, you get something else.
Yeah.
So that is a big opportunity here. So that's for the next 2 years. That's my kind of like my goal. And I did write that down.
Nice. Okay.
And the reason why you write that down and is basically what you said. You want to hold yourself accountable.
Yeah.
And now I was approached by a TV company that wants to do a documentary on my life. And also hold me accountable, and it's focused on entrepreneurship, which finally, thank God, is not just about love and fake and but actually a documentary.
Wow.
So it's something that I hope that we can pursue with all the logistics, but then like you have another thing to hold yourself accountable.
Yeah.
Because it's actually documented.
Yeah, we've been approached by a couple like networks.
Yeah, like reality, but those are more
nice.
like reality TV shows, not as much documentary. Like, okay, this is it's those are just they have some type of what how do you even put it? Like they're just dramatized and they're not real. And we don't want like people in our face. But definitely like down the road, if we could like find like a really good company to work with, that would be wildly interesting. So that's funny, going back to kind of your garden, just bring us back a little bit. Do you have any pictures of it? I'm sure people would love to see. We could send it to our media and then we could pop them up on the screen.
We'll take some pictures.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I haven't had
email
yet.
them to me.
I actually was thinking about doing like because we've been here for 6 months and furniture has arrived. Everything is starting to take its place. And I'm very particular. I like everything custom. I like the bed a little higher.
Yeah.
I'm fairly tall myself. And I have an amazing partner that, helps me decorate the place. And I think that's beautiful because you kind of like, get to, make everything, like your taste. So it's man. So
that was
I'll send you some pictures of the olive tree and the banana tree and everything.
Cool. Yeah, you made me want to grow my own garden. I was like, maybe I should get a banana tree.
Yeah, he finally moved into a place as a partner or your house.
Yeah.
I don't know how the weather is there, but I would highly recommend doing these things. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the winters get cold.
The winters are pretty brutal.
So, hey, you kind of in the pre-show you talked about a coffee business.
Do you want to touch on that?
Yeah,
So
I'm interested. You started and sold the company. Yeah, I drink coffee. I'll have we both used to work at a coffee shop actually. I was a barista.
Really?
Yeah, I worked there for 2.5 years and I was a barista, so I'm pretty particular on how I like my coffee. I normally get a dry cappuccino, which for people who don't know means the foam is very light. So it's more on the cortado side of things. That makes sense.
So yeah, I love that, man. So basically the reason why I'm asking is because that's kind of like where it all started. I loved coffee. And it was a big component in working long hours
Mhm.
back when I started my Meester PT fitness business.
Mm-hmm.
I was 21. So, and it was growing and it was growing. And I was like, hey, you know what? I got to give some credit to coffee here. I
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
love it. So, however, I was very particular about the coffee. So I was finding like different blends, and I was like, okay, wait, fitness, health, body, mind, psychology, which were the pillars of the company. And I'm like, why don't I come up with my own blend that's organic, that's amazing, powerful, and has the best beans in the world? So I went to a lab, found like really like good people to help me with that.
Mm-hmm.
And I have it all, like I still have the videos that I went to labs like for days, and we tested different coffee blends
Wow.
in an actual lab. And it was also
Wow.
part of the marketing. So we can
That's
prove
cool.
that we actually did that.
Mm-hmm.
Coffee beans from Africa, Colombia, you name it, Arabica, 100% organic farms, everything.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a blend together, and that became the master blend. And we were also very confident in not having any different blend. It was this blend, and this blend was going to be the bestseller.
Mm-hmm.
And it was.
Wow.
It sold out every time.
Wow.
And of course, the followers helped. But and they loved it, and especially in America, they loved it. So eventually, what happened was that because I was shipping it from the Netherlands, it became too expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to understand, I'm not going to sell a coffee bag for 500 grams for more than 20 euros.
Mm-hmm.
So, which back then I think was $22. Right
Yep.
now, I think the dollar and the euro is equal.
Yeah.
But so yeah, that's kind of like where there was a point where I started talking to companies in the US that approached me and that took over the blend and the company,
Wow.
and they went further under a different name. And but yeah, for I think 2 years, that was an amazing time because
It's very cool.
yeah, the videos and the stock and really something I was truly passionate about. And sometimes I miss it.
That's
I'm not gonna
cool.
lie, you know, because it's hard to find good coffee.
Do you want to talk about that story from a more capitalistic approach in terms of like how much money it took to get going, if you raised capital, and then how much you sold it for? I think people are really interested in the whole money side behind businesses.
This is a really good question because I think a lot of people that want to start out in a business think they need a lot of capital.
Yeah.
And it's of course for some things, yes, but a lot of businesses don't require that. And I think it's the wrong mindset. A lot of times what you can do is you can find a partner, or you can find somebody that's already doing what you're doing,
Mhm.
or you can do a joint venture, or you can just really first things first, test the market with just a few things, whether it's an ad or whether it's questionnaires. Like if you have, let's say, a following, right? So what I used to do, whether it was an e-commerce product or whether it was the coffee brand, before I started, I wanted to know, was there even interest? So I did that. It didn't cost me anything. I knew, okay, there was interest. I made a small investment, a couple €1,000. Okay, you just save that up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you go to the lab, you pay the lab, you pay the first bags of coffee, you get the first few boxes. So really the investment that I made up front might have been 5K, 6K. And then when money is coming in, you need cash flow.
Yeah.
Then you start scaling. So again, first figure out, is there a market for this? Because it's a highly competitive business.
Yeah. Whereas coffee's huge.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
And then you start kind of like scaling from there. Because once I start selling out every time, I start generating enough cash flow to suddenly have more and more space to store my coffee.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just look at the market conditions continuously, and then you start to scale. And that's also how I did it with any other e-commerce product, to be honest with you. I also collaborated with Trax NYC in New York when I was living in Manhattan. I met Maksud, one of the biggest diamond dealers in the East Coast.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Ben Baller is in the West Coast. And they know each other. They're good friends. Sat down with him and I'm like, hey, we should work together. We're really good friends. And he's going to come to Marbella soon to visit me as well. And so we started designing a jewelry line specifically for women and kind of like unisex right now. And before, we did that same thing, tested it, and like, oh, we sell a piece. Okay, perfect. Let's use the profit to then buy another piece. So that is kind of like has been my approach, because the moment we need 550, 50, 100K to invest in all these products, you don't even know if you're going to sell it yet.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, think that's kind of like has been my business approach, man. And of course, if you need like a storage room and all that can come later.
Mhm.
An office can come later.
Yeah.
You can work from home. You can build a business from home. You can open up a Shopify store from home.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people think like they need this big capital to start a business. It's not true. I did it without it. I had zero support.
Yeah.
And of course I had a side job, and back then, I saved up a few thousand to start, but that's it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I hope that answers your question.
So who bought the coffee brand out?
It was a local coffee brand in the US that I knew,
Mhm.
and I still have contact with them, and they kind of like tell me how it's going. And now they're kind of like selling the brand under their name. I don't want to mention the name right now, but they're still doing it.
Nice. Well, that's great. So, all right, you also talked about how you were on reality TV and you were an actor. What type of reality TV shows were you on? Because there's so many of them.
I did a bunch of them, but I think the biggest one was also the biggest one in the US. I think bigger than Keeping Up with the Kardashians and all that other bullshit. I think so this is funny. So I got approached. I didn't even know what it was, and it was like, hey, do you want to do this? I can't talk too much because I do believe I'm still under contract to some degree.
Okay.
But what I can say is, I got approached and had no idea. Kind of like, all right, that seems fun. It was still a spin-off, so it wasn't like any examples of it before.
Mhm.
So I did before the 90 days, which was kind of like meeting somebody from America. And then the idea is that you kind of like to get to know each other and then see if it works out.
Oh, was it
And I think
90 Day Fiance?
The original show is 90 Day Fiance.
Yeah.
That's where it started. That's the OG show.
Okay.
So I did a spin-off of that, which is before the 90 days, right? And it just, yeah, it's wild. That's why people love it.
Yeah.
It's dramatic. That's why people love it and watch it. And it becomes wilder and wilder and wilder. And I think also what's happening right now is that you get into a place where even the viewer is questioning how authentic and real it is.
Yeah.
And that's where, it becomes like, okay, interesting. Because I think they have such high rankings because there is an element of authenticity to it.
Yeah.
And you could argue that some people that you see are like that, 100%.
True.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all I can say about that.
Okay.
But
that's interesting.
It's truly fascinating because what I do love about it, and that's why I can only give credit. And honestly, it blew me up. And it just, even I have videos, I'm not sure if you saw them, of meet and greets with fans, and we had in Brooklyn, New York, we had an amazing place, and everybody from fans from the show came, and
Crazy.
it was just crazy.
Wow.
And it was just so insane, and
How long ago was this?
this was 5 years ago, I think.
So it must feel like kind of like a different life compared to, maybe what you're living like now. Just like that kind of celebrity feeling it must have been weird.
Even now, we just got shopping in this mall here in Marbella, and you get still recognized because in this area, a lot of like people from abroad live. You don't really speak Spanish here.
Yeah,
it's like people with money that buy a property here, and they kind of like either retire here or they start living here and build a business.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you're kind of like always speaking English, and you're with people that are from either America, UK, or Europe, like Western Europe, so Northern Europe. And so it's like very easy to even get recognized here.
Wow.
It's like, hey, are you from? And it's like it's so funny, and of course you take a picture sometimes, and but it's insane how popular that show is, and it makes complete sense because it's fun, it's dramatic, it's crazy, and that's just what people now watch more than anything.
Interesting.
You know?
Would you do it again?
They
Go
wanna
back
be
on
like, "Hey, look
reality?
at these crazies, you know, they're messing up their life, and look at
Yeah.
oh, my life is not so bad if I like you know what I mean." So
True.
that's kind of like the success factor of it.
I want to kind of switch topics, talk about NFTs a bit.
Oh yeah, I was
Yeah.
doing again. I was doing some looking at your account, what you were up to, so we could have a better podcast. And you were into NFTs, and you are even starting your own NFT, correct?
Correct. Wow, a lot of actually. So right now we're I'm talking to Joe Exotic, right? So we want to do an NFT project for Joe Exotic.
Really?
And,
Yeah.
so he spoke to me. He talks to me from prison, and he called me the other day, and he's like, "I want you to be my spokesperson. I want you to start the NFT project as soon as possible." And then the funds will go to his legal process and his personal fund.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we're working on now. I'm trying to bring together a team to do that, and like a design team. There's different ways we could go about that. And aside from that, like you're right, I also have some things for myself. I think a Halloween one, a Joker one, a jewelry one from the collab I did with Trex NYC.
Yep.
And yeah, I collected a lot more before that. I still have some that kind of like dropped completely.
Yeah.
But yeah, Pudgy Penguins, I was a big fan of.
Really? Okay.
So I helped the project with some marketing. But
Wow.
I sold those ones. Yeah.
Cool. So, what do you like about NFTs? Because they get a kind of
What
a
I
bad
like-
rap.
What I like about it, and this is also why I'm involved in another business venture, which is called Esquire Global, is that you can have a smart contract and prove that you own like a piece of art or music or whatever, whereas like the artist normally wouldn't get any royalties, and now they can. So for me, it's very attractive because I love art to buy also pieces from people that are unknown artists, and also now what we're making possible with Esquira is that people that don't have access to buy a whole property but do have some money to invest in real estate, you can now, without any notary or any hassle, you can now give them a smart contract, an NFT, that they own a piece of a certain real estate. That's what we're doing now. We're developing that.
Wow.
And that we buy the property under the company, and that then the people that, like, let's say buy for $100 or $1,000 a piece of that fractional real estate investing under smart contracts in the NFT.
Wow.
So that's
cool.
There's so much things that an opportunity there, other than just music or art that you can put under NFT smart contracts. So that's what we're doing now, man.
Sure. Wow. I'm amazed by how many different projects and ventures you're involved in. It's impressive. How do you though manage your time? Like, I know we touched on it a bit, but do you like this? Just, I don't understand how you're doing all of this. Like, it amazes me because I struggle to do like I know I can't take on much more right now. Like, I'm pretty maxed out, but I definitely can. I think it's a mental barrier maybe that some people have, which is like, I'm doing too much.
I honestly, I'm gonna be honest with you. I feel like I'm not doing enough.
Really?
I'm pretty hard on
Okay.
myself. I'm pretty
Wow.
hard on myself, and I honestly feel that I should be doing more. I should work harder. I think I'm procrastinating a lot.
Okay.
I'm not that proud of myself because I feel that I could have had a bigger impact if I wouldn't procrastinate as much.
Okay.
I think I spend my time on things that I shouldn't be spending my time on,
Sure.
like eating popcorn and watching movies sometimes. I mean, I don't know. Like it's just that you have to find a balance, my friend, and also I have to learn to not be so hard on myself. And I think everybody should do
Yeah.
that. It's okay to step back and to be on a vacation and just be present with yourself and your partner, or your family, because the most important thing. I think you can only do so much, and also what is most important, right? If you run a business on an executive level, you have a lot more time than you think.
Yeah.
If you are too much still involved in the business, you're going to require to spend a lot of time. I outsource every single thing.
Wow.
So that is something that gives me so much free time
Yeah.
that I can sit here with you And I think I have another one in an hour with Brandon Dawson, the partner of Grant Cardone. We're also going to have Grant Cardone on a podcast soon.
Wow.
It's like I think that now I am in the place where I can be more in the business, and I should be. And that's also what I want to be doing now with my real estate business, not just for the fractional real estate investing, which is more like online. No, I also want to set it up here. I want to help people and show them homes, and I want to give them an opportunity to live here and find the right people to do that. And of course, I'm going to get paid to that. Of course, I'm going to get commissions and real estate agents to do that as well. But that is where my focus is now. So I'm shifting really now to like, okay, where am I allocating my time? What is most important? And also not being too hard on myself.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's hard. Like, I mean, I catch myself doing it all the time where I just sit down and take a break and I'm like, I can't relax. I feel like I should be doing something. And then you got to realize, like, you got to take your breaks. Then you got to realize, like, okay, if I'm just going to be running around all the time, I'm not going to be putting in 100%. And there'll be days where I have a whole list of stuff to do. And I'm like, all right, I'm just not going to do this. I'll do it later. I'll still get it done, but I'm not in the right place right now to do it. And with trading specifically, it's called your tilt. You measure your tilt, which is like your emotional behavior when it comes to managing trades. And one of the things I've noticed is weeks I go without working out, my tilt will start to shift into the negative. I'll be trading based off of emotions when you shouldn't be at all. And so like I work out every day. It's one of those things that keeps my tilt in balance. And I can gauge like my internal tilt meter, if you will, and like kind of check myself and see where I'm at mentally. And that helps in all, various parts of my life, not just trading.
I love that, man. And I think it's so important that you address this. And the reason why is because I think a lot of young men in their 20s struggle with, like, I want to become successful and I want to have $1 million before the end of the year. And they judge themselves so hard. And then when they don't reach it, and they think that because everybody makes it so easy online, right? It seems it's so easy, and they already, I can have a jet, and I can have this, and I can have that if I just, start a drop shipping business or whatever. And like it's like, I think we need to talk about reality of it and about, how it is to start a business and how difficult it can be, how lonely it can be, and how you shouldn't be too hard on yourself, and how it's also amazingly okay and necessary to have a corporate job. We don't talk about that enough. Yeah. Not everybody needs to be an entrepreneur. Not everybody is designed for that. Some people, are passionate about what they're doing for their 9 to 5 and building their family and providing that way. And that's really amazing and okay and necessary for a construct of society to work. Yeah. If we're all day trading, we have no functioning society.
That's a good point.
So like we should also be talking about that. Yeah. And it breaks my heart sometimes that, a lot of young men are so hard on themselves, and it's like and of course we need to motivate them, but let's also paint a realistic picture here. Yeah. And that's why I love what you do, what you said. Hey, I'm transparent about my trades, and I want to share that with people, and I want to help them about, changing their lives. And one of the ways is to do it through the daily traders. And I love that.
Thank you. Cool.
Yeah.
So, as someone who's traveled the world and has this experience and background in psychology, what type of advice would you give to, kid in their teens to their 20s in this day and age who struggles with anxiety and like you've talked about this kind of unrealistic view of the world? What do you, like, one piece of advice, what would you give to them?
Breathe. I had a podcast with Wim Hof, and he told me that. Breathe. And I kind of like resonated with that. And what does it mean, breathe? Well, it means taking a good, honest look at your life and your purpose and having breath. Because a lot of times with anxiety, what it really does is it holds our breath. We're operating from here and not from our pelvic floor, our balls, like Elliot Hull says. I'm quoting him because I love him and he's my friend. But it's extremely important, because once we breathe and once we have clarity, we can really understand, okay, what is important, and also see the world from a bigger picture. Why am I feeling like this? Is it media? Is it what I'm consuming online? Is it the people that are pushing a narrative or buy my course and you will become successful and a millionaire? Is
Mhm.
it whatever it might be? But be conscious of it
Yeah.
and reflect on it, and also read and take time away from digital.
Yeah, I think people don't realize what they're consuming, and scrolling on Instagram, it just feeds into your mind this kind of false sense of reality or expectations.
Yeah.
And then you start being hard on yourself.
Yeah.
I think I found someone the other day really second guessing their self. Was this the right decision? Was it not? Do you have any advice for that? People who just, they make this move to kind of push their comfort zone, get out of their comfort zone, and make a change. But then there's always that thought in the back of your mind, like, was this the right decision?
What's the alternative, right? Like, if you have failed or you have taken a leap of faith, life itself is risk. Even sitting at home and doing nothing, or even pursuing a 9 to 5, it has risk itself. And I think that if you want to start something, you want to do something that your heart desired, you have to do it.
Mm-hmm.
You have to fulfill it, whatever the outcome might be. And of course you do risk control and risk management, but you cannot live your life worrying about the outcome all the time. If you have a vision and clarity on that, and you are going to execute it, kind of like the kid in 300 Spartan movie, right? Where he gets into the wild to kind of like hunt himself, to explore and to go out there. That's kind of like how you have to do it yourself. And you will find out things along the way about yourself and about life and about people and business. And I think what's extremely important is to find the right mentors to guide you along the way. I would have saved a lot of time myself, and I think I can also speak for yourself if you had the right people around you from a very, very early age.
Oh yeah.
So if you have the right guidance, if you have the right mentors, god damn, man, life would have been so much better. And that's why, know who you surround yourself with.
Yeah. Exactly. I'm assuming do you have a smaller friend group? I know myself personally have a very small friend group. I wasn't the kid in high school either with a million friends, just very tight, closed group, people I can trust, and people would bring me up.
Yeah, I have an inner circle.
Yeah.
I like to call it, which is the 5 closest people to me.
Okay.
It's like, it's like, I love how Tristan and Andrew, they call it the war room, right?
Yeah.
They have a very close group of people that, have a certain level of success and power in the world. So we have that. It's another layer to it. And then I also have friends that I consider just people that I'm good with, that I appreciate, and they, we dine together and we eat together. And so there's different layers to it.
Yeah.
But like you said yourself, I think it's very important to be aware of who you let in that circle and in which layer.
Yeah.
And that's not a sign of disrespect. I think it's a sign of respect to yourself and the other person. Because what you don't want to be is a hypocrite or too open to somebody that doesn't deserve it, and then allow yourself to be influenced by that person, or the other way around.
Yeah.
And that's okay. It's okay to be like, hey, you know what? I appreciate what you do. I see what you do. I see the direction you're taking. It just is no longer resourceful for me or you, or the other way around. So I wish you well and thank you for the time together. That's also okay. It's very, very hard for people to do that, because they live in a sort of resentment or hatred or jealousy or envy. So it's very, they come from a place of ungrounded behavior when they say, I cannot let go of you.
Yeah.
Or I want to hold on to it, or like, it's very interesting to see that. And it's not necessary. And it takes courage to do that, of course.
Yeah. What's like a sign if you're hanging out with a group of friends? What's a sign that, all right, maybe this is someone who just is not going to be, a person in my life that's going to help influence or drive me in the right direction that I want to go?
Oh, that's a really good question. The moment you see that people are not there to support your endeavors or what you are or what you are becoming, I think is the moment that you're like, hey, you know what? This is not the right person for me.
Yeah.
Tupac said it beautifully, right? Doesn't mean I don't want to see you eat, just no longer at my table.
I like that.
And,
It's cool.
yeah, that's a beautiful quote that I love to use and repurpose, because you want to be conscious of who truly has altruistic good intentions and who has not, who is there just solely for their own benefit. And if somebody has altruistic intentions, you want to see that person become the best version of themselves.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like whether it's a romantic relationship, whether it's a friendship, it doesn't matter. That's, I think, the idea of being together, so you can elevate together.
Yeah.
So when somebody is not wanting that for you, don't even entertain it. Don't even waste your time.
Yeah.
And
So true.
yeah, man. So that is something that you have to be mindful of, and then just cut it off as soon as possible. You know, don't drag it. Don't like, you know, just like, it will come on your path. And the moment you have the right people around you, even if it's just 2 or 3 or 1,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
you know, your circle will become a lot better and bigger.
I love it. I think I say this all the time, is like, you're the average of the 5 people you hang around the most, whether it's your mom, your dad, your friends, your teachers. It's like, you are going to become who you hang around. And I think, you know, that's so important. And
This
getting where
is
you want
so
in life.
good that you say that. Yeah. Because also sometimes it's family that's holding you back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's family that's causing you trauma.
True.
100%.
You know, and like, we're like, oh no, it's family. It's my mom. It's my dad.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, you're around your mom and dad the most, for most people as kids. But hey, on this note, we're kind of approaching the hour and 15 mark. That was a great episode, especially that last half. We really got into mindset.
This has been awesome. I
very
feel like we could
insightful.
just keep talking
Yeah,
all
we
day.
all-
Oh
Yeah.
man, yeah. I have
100%.
I have another podcast coming up. I'm like, shit, time is cutting close. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on.
This has been
We
great.
loved having you.
Thank you so much. I feel like we could definitely run with a part 2, or if you're ever in Maine, you know, we'll have you on in person, which would be even better in person. You know,
Absolutely.
you're
No, we
super
should do
nice
that.
guy. It was great meeting you. This is probably my favorite podcast so far. Because
Yeah.
it's that deep,
that,
like
man.
real stuff. That's hard. It's hard to get vulnerable and talk about real life stuff like this. Not many people can do it. So
Thank
It's
you.
important, man. And again, thank you guys so much. If you send it to me, I can send it to my editor as well, and maybe I can repurpose some clips as well from the podcast if that's okay with you.
of
Of
course,
course.
yeah.
Yeah,
Where can
totally.
people find you? What's your Instagram?
At Jesse Meester,
Okay.
JESSEMEESTER, and Meester stands for master, and that's also, and not just because, and it's also the last the company name, Meester Incorporated.
Okay.
Because I think, you know, the goal is to master everything in your life,
Cool.
right?
Yeah.
Yourself,
that.
your business. And so it's not just like, oh, let me have my last name as my business. Like, no,
Yeah.
it happens to be like that.
That's
Wow.
cool. I like that.
We'll put the link in the
Yeah,
description.
it'll all be down there for you guys watching.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you
Well,
guys so much for
loving it.
watching. Everybody, I hope you enjoyed. Thank you, Jesse. It's been a great time.
All right.
And until the next one. All right.
See you next time, man.
Goodbye.
See
Have
ya.
a great day.
Bye.
Peace. Thank you, man.
All right. Well, that was awesome.
That was great.